Awards celebrate those who stand out and make a real difference in sports, and the ESPYs always know who deserves the spotlight. Rising star Caitlin Clark stole the show by taking home 2 awards at the ESPYs. On July 11th, she was recognized as the best college athlete women's sports and also earned the best record-breaking performance award.
Honestly, Caitlin Clark has done so much, not only for women's college basketball, obviously what she's doing in the WNBA, but just women's sports in general. So she's been huge for the entirety of everything that we've seen on the women's side of the game.
Clark's award acceptance came with a bit of a twist. She picked up her first award during the red carpet broadcast before Serena Williams took over as host for the night. For her second win, she beat out NFL star Christian McCaffrey for best record-breaking performance. Since she couldn't attend the event in person, she sent a virtual thank you message saying, "I just wanted to say thank you for this recognition. Obviously, I could not be there tonight. I'm a little busy in Indianapolis." Clark expressed how much the award meant to her, her teammates, and her coaches at the University of Iowa, adding, "It's special for all of us, and it was a special year in women's athletics. Thank you, ESPN." She wrapped up by giving a shout out to the other nominees and winners, saying she wished she could have been there, but was tied up after beating her favorite player, Diana Taurasi, on the court leading up to the ESPYs. Clark had quite the showing at the SPIs, leading with the most nominations. She was up for Best Athlete, Women's Sports, Best College Athlete, Women's Sports, and Best Record-Breaking Performance after becoming the NCAA's all-time scoring leader. Her popularity skyrocketed thanks to her incredible college basketball career at the University of Iowa. In April, she was the #1 overall pick in the 2024 WNBA draft and made her pro debut with the Indiana Fever in May. Despite her impressive resume, Clark didn't make the cut for the 2024 Paris Olympics women's basketball team. When asked about it in June by Indy Star sports reporter Chloe Peterson, she handled the news with grace, saying she's thrilled for the girls who made the team. She acknowledged it's the most competitive team in the world and understands it could have gone either way for her. Ultimately, she's just excited for them. Clark shared her positive outlook, saying, "I'm going to be rooting for them to win gold. I was a kid who grew up watching the Olympics. It'll be fun to watch them." She made it clear she wasn't disappointed by the decision and instead saw it as motivation for future opportunities. In the midst of her growing fame, Stephen A. Smith stepped in to defend Clark against critics questioning her popularity. In an exclusive interview with Us Weekly, he acknowledged that while race can be a factor, it doesn't always have to be negative. She happens to be white, but also happens to be a terrific basketball player, a terrific person with a terrific family background, and terrific marketability assets, Smith said, emphasizing that her success is well earned. After her big wins, the Indiana Fever rookie opened up about the representation of women's basketball at the ESPYs, drawing attention from the basketball community. In a post-game conference, Clark shared that she watched the ceremony from home and was impressed by the presence of women athletes, particularly those in basketball. She expressed optimism for the sport's future, saying, "I think it shows where women's basketball is going, and obviously women's athletics in general. Juju Watkins and Aja Wilson won. I won a couple. It shows the excitement around the game and how many people are watching and paying attention to where it's going." This wasn't Clark's first time winning an ESPY. She had already been recognized as the best women's college athlete, beating out LSU gymnastics star Haley Bryant, Wisconsin volleyball standout Sarah Franklin, and Northwestern lacrosse star Izzy Skane for the title. Clark had also taken home the ESPY for Best Women's College Athlete in 2023, but on Thursday night she made a bit of history by winning Best Record-Breaking Performance, becoming the first woman to ever receive that award. On Friday, as Clark and the Indiana Fever prepared to take on the Phoenix Mercury, she was asked in a pregame press conference about being the first woman to win the Best Record-Breaking Performance, ESPY. Clark expressed how honored she felt, but admitted she was surprised to be the first woman to earn the award. She reflected on it, saying, "I probably shouldn't have been the first," acknowledging the many talented women who have come before her. Clark elaborated on the surprising nature of her win, saying, "It probably shouldn't have been me to be the first woman to win that award. How does Serena Williams never win that award?" It's a fair point. When you think about it, it's wild that Clark is the first woman to take home that honor. Serena Williams, widely regarded as one of the greatest athletes of all time, dominated women's tennis with 23 Grand Slam singles titles. And since the ESPYs started in 1993, there have been countless other incredible female athletes deserving of the same recognition. It's no surprise that Clark took a moment to honor Serena Williams, one of the greatest female athletes ever. As a lifelong supporter of women's sports, Clark has always been about uplifting others in the game, and recognizing Serena's legendary career fits right in with her character. It's refreshing to see an athlete at Clark's level show such respect for those who came before her, especially someone as iconic as Serena.
Caitlin Clark had an amazing year and is nominated for 3 awards.
Serena Williams did a solid job hosting last night's ESPY Awards, bringing her signature humor to the stage. In her opening monologue, she joked about everything from Drake's beef with Kendrick Lamar to Shohei Ohtani's interpreter's gambling scandal. But when she made a joke about Caitlin Clark, it stirred up some controversy. The joke took an unexpected racial twist, which many felt was unnecessary, especially considering Clark's dedication to uplifting women's sports and athletes of all backgrounds. It was a moment that sparked conversations online. Williams joked, Caitlin Clark had an amazing year and is nominated for 3 awards. You are the Larry Bird of the WNBA, an amazing player. You've got ties to Indiana, and white people are really crazy about you. While the first 2 parts of the joke ring true, Clark is often compared to Larry Bird and does have Indiana connections through her pro team. The part about white people being the only ones who are fans of Clark was problematic. It's a misleading and unhelpful way to frame her popularity, overshadowing the genuine admiration fans from all backgrounds have for Clark's impressive career. Clark has boosted viewership numbers for many WNBA games and has drawn huge crowds to games against the Fever. Just look at the packed arenas for her matchups with the Atlanta Dream and the Las Vegas Aces. It's clear there's a diverse fan base supporting Clark, both in the stands and beyond. However, Williams' comments seem to overlook this reality, implying that her fan base is predominantly white, which doesn't reflect the true diversity of her supporters. Unsurprisingly, Williams' comment quickly went viral. Reactions were mixed, with some fans thinking it was a clever joke, while others saw it as divisive and unnecessary. Clark hasn't commented on Williams' joke and probably won't, as she's known for staying above negativity and focusing on her game. She's a genuine, generational talent. So what do you think about all the recent drama and Caitlin's award wins? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
Okay. The average Angel Reese game is 10,100, 10,200. They come to watch her. You know what the average attendance is when Caitlin Clark plays home or the road?
What?
15,300.
Wow.
Okay. 15,300.
$1 million bucks, something like that.
Right there. Look at this. Caitlin Clark gets 15,591 fans in attendance, 105% increase compared to the average game is 7645. And to Angel Reese, it's only 10,000 people. Can you pull up what Caitlin Clark just got? What is the Nike contract with Caitlin Clark? Nike contract, $28 million is what the contract is. Okay? This is WNBA. Is paying Caitlin Clark $28 million. Good for freaking you. By the way,
What do LeBron James and Caitlin Clark have in common? They both made waves in their leagues from the moment they started as rookies. But while LeBron was welcomed with open arms, Clark's journey has been a bit more complex. So why are some WNBA players resisting the Caitlin Clark effect? The answer might surprise you.
I saw for the first time that they had a chartered plane. For the first time in their league history, they flew private. That should be celebrated in its own right. From anyone that's, in sports that's flown commercial or flown, charter, that should be celebrated. And it's because of Caitlin Clark. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go.
Let's take a look at Clark's record-breaking performance. Her impact was unreal. WNBA attendance soared, and TV ratings reached new heights. It's like she turned on a spotlight, and now everyone's tuning in to women's basketball. But here's the twist. Not everyone in the league is thrilled about it.
This lady on First Take yesterday upset with the fact that Stephen A. Smith hasn't been talking about WNBA enough for the last few years, and she's calling him out, and it got pretty nasty. Rob, I'm going to text this to you. You have this? Go ahead and play this clip. Go for it.
We're talking about them maximizing their great potential. And because we bring that up and talk about what potentially might get in their way, which we do to men all the time, now we got to sit up here and watch every syllable. I resent that.
We are still talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
Okay, she's talking all that trash. Could you imagine if it was reverse racist? If that was a white girl,
white supremacy,
a black rookie. Well,
you're probably wondering, why wouldn't everyone be excited? Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. Clark's rise is a huge moment for women's basketball, but it's also stirring up some friction. A few players aren't exactly rolling out the welcome mat, and the league seems unsure about how to handle this rising star. So what's really happening behind the curtain? Let's dig into the details.
She's going to face a level of racism from black players And she's going to face a level of hostility from lesbian players because she's not on team LGBTQ. She's a Catholic. She's got some boyfriend. She's going to walk into an extremely hostile environment. And so when it was Tiger Woods walking into a hostile environment of the PGA Tour, we talked about it, we covered it. We covered it sympathetically. We criticized the people that were against Tiger Woods. As it relates to Caitlin Clark, who could come and make the WNBA far more relevant.
Let's get into the stats. Caitlin Clark isn't just putting up impressive numbers, she's putting up jaw-dropping ones. But the real question is, why are these record-shattering performances causing such waves in the WNBA? It's more than just scoring. It's about what these stats might mean for the future of the league. Here's a standout. Clark is hitting 62.7% of her shots within 5 feet, making her the top guard in 2-point field goal percentage. That's not just solid, it's elite. And it's not just her shooting that has people talking. Clark's playmaking skills are next level. She broke the WNBA rookie record with 232 assists. 232. Just think about what that does for a team. It's like she's always a step ahead, finding her teammates for easy buckets. But what really stands out is that Clark's style isn't just impressive, it's game-changing. People are already comparing her to NBA greats like Jason Kidd, Steve Nash, and Steph Curry. These comparisons aren't thrown around lightly. These are some of the most versatile and revolutionary players in basketball history. Clark's ability to command the court, her vision, and her deep shooting range are putting her in a class of her own. You're probably thinking, sure, she's amazing, but how does this change the league? Well, buckle up. The Caitlin Clark effect is massive. The Atlanta Dream just set a record for the largest crowd at a WNBA game in Georgia, with 7,176 fans packing the arena to see Clark in action. That's more than just a crowd, it's a statement. And it's not a fluke. The Indiana Fever, Clark's team, has gone from being barely on TV to being a must-see. Last season, they had just one nationally televised game. This season, 36 out of 40 games are on national broadcast. That's a complete 180, all thanks to Clark.
This is a phenomenon. Caitlin Clark is a phenomenon. And if I said to any of these people who think Caitlin Clark is not the Rookie of the Year, I'd say, who would you want to start your franchise with? Now, I'm not going to put Asia Wilson in there. I'm just saying between these two. Angel Reese is a wonderful player, but she does not compare to what and who Caitlin Clark is.
Let's zoom out for a second. Clark's influence goes way beyond stats and TV ratings. She's changing the entire perception of women's basketball. Every time she steps on the court, it feels like an event, with millions of fans tuning in. One game drew in 2.2 million viewers, a number that's almost unheard of for the WNBA. But it's not just about the viewership, it's the way she plays. Clark's shooting range is redefining the women's game, hitting shots from distances that were once considered out of reach. It's like she's playing on a different level, making the impossible look routine.
Caitlin Clark now has the rookie record, the history of the WNBA, as she's now going to try to set the all-time record.
But here's the kicker. Clark's success isn't just changing individual games, it's reshaping the entire women's basketball scene. She's become more than just a standout player. She's a full-blown phenomenon. Every record she breaks and every crowd she pulls in is stretching the boundaries of what's possible for women in sports. You'd think everyone would be cheering her on, right? Well, not exactly. Her meteoric rise is sparking some real drama in the WNBA. Some players are feeling overshadowed and it's creating tension. Angel Reese didn't hold back when she said, people aren't just watching women's basketball because of one person, it's because of me too. That comment says it all. The tension is real.
Which nobody was talking about the WNBA just in a joking manner. She has made the WNBA and they hate it. What's the girl, PBD, the number one draft of last year? Was it last year?
Angel Reese.
Angel Reese was talking crap about her. She's like, it's not just her. What about me?
It's not just about bruised egos, though. Clark's intense, aggressive style of play is really shaking things up on the court. Remember when she got hit with a technical foul for punching the basket in frustration? Most players might have been thrown off by that, but not Clark. Instead, she thanked the ref, saying it fired her up to play even harder. That kind of fierce competitive spirit is exactly what's sending shockwaves through the league and keeping everyone on their toes.
This company, this corporation called the WNBA, is not profitable. They don't make money. They've never made money. They're fully subsidized by their daddy, the NBA. The NBA generates $10 billion a year, and they basically give tzedakah or tithing to the WNBA. They say, all right, you're doing you're looking good. And I'm all for girls doing their thing, playing sports, okay. But they don't put what you call at the big event butts in seats. And I get they're shoving Caitlin Clark down people's throats because she's a cash cow. Great. They're going to market the hell out of this white chick. That's whatever she is. She puts the ball in the hole.
You might be thinking, is this just about basketball, or is there something deeper going on? Turns out this debate is touching on bigger issues like race and gender in sports. Some argue the backlash against Clark is just pure jealousy, while others feel it's shining a light on deeper societal challenges. So what's really going on? Is Clark's rise good or bad for the WNBA? Well, it's a bit of both. On one hand, you've got players like Angel Reese, who feel like their hard-earned contributions are being overlooked. They've been grinding for years, and then Clark comes in as a rookie and takes center stage. It's easy to see why that might sting.
Anywhere. And I think she is going to literally turn this thing around, not because of the stupid controversial bump, but bro, people are selling out to watch this girl play.
On the flip side, some see Clark as a rising tide that could lift everyone's boat. Her star power is drawing more eyes to the league than ever, bringing in more fans, TV deals, and revenue. In the long run, this could be a huge win for the league as a whole. What's especially intriguing is that this tension isn't just stirring up drama. It's also sparking important conversations about equity and representation in women's sports. People are starting to ask tough questions about who gets the spotlight and why. Think about it. When was the last time women's basketball grabbed this much attention? Clark's influence is making everyone rethink how we view the sport. She's not just changing the game on the court, she's shifting the entire conversation about women's athletics.
I'm curious about, which you said when we had the conversation a couple months ago. Guys, she's going to make nothing. She's going to make the minimum wage. Great.
She makes $73,000 a year, but her contract from Nike.
But it's going to change. It's going to change because they had more people go to a Los Angeles Sparks game this year than the Lakers. There was more people attending a Sparks game this year than Lakers. Did you hear about this? When you get people butts in seats, pay for people changes, cash flow changes. So you're right.
Let's be honest, change is tough, especially when it happens so quickly. Some players feel like they're getting overshadowed, and that's a legitimate concern. The real challenge now is figuring out how to celebrate Clark's success while still recognizing the accomplishments of other players. Just when it seemed like the WNBA was in the middle of an internal crisis, a surprising twist emerged. What if the drama surrounding Caitlin Clark is exactly what the league needs? The WNBA has been struggling financially for years. You might be wondering, how bad could it be? Well, it's pretty serious. The league's been losing about $50 million a year. That's no small issue, it's a major crisis. But here's the kicker. Caitlin Clark might just be the game changer the WNBA has been waiting for.
Prior to win a tournament. And so people need to see, I think history is repeating itself, and Caitlin Clark could be raising the tide and lifting all boats. And I think Angel Reese needs to take a pill because there is a great opportunity here, and I think jealousy is reigning supreme here.
Vinny.
Let's crunch some numbers for a moment. Clark isn't just popular, she's a full-blown phenomenon. Remember that game against the Atlanta Dream? It drew a record-breaking crowd of 7,576 fans. That's more than just a big turnout. It's a game-changing statement. People are flocking to see her play, and that's bringing in some serious revenue for the league. But it's not just about the ticket sales. Clark's influence extends well beyond the court. Her team, the Indiana Fever, has seen a staggering 225% increase in corporate partnerships. That's not just growth, it's an explosion of interest, all thanks to one rookie. Now, you might be curious about how this affects the other players. That's where it gets really intriguing. Clark isn't just drawing attention to herself. She's also putting the spotlight on the whole league. And with that spotlight comes some uncomfortable truths about player salaries.
I think, I don't think the WNBA is ready for this type of attention that she's bringing to them. That attitude, there was another player that was crying after a regular season game. And you said the R word, Tom. I don't know why you were blocking it. Racism. Everybody's talking about, like Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith, which we'll get into, Pat, after we go. He's just going on these panels and going, you know what? First he's bashing Trump, and then he goes into Caitlin Clark, and she's... everything about her is white, and he's going on these anti-white race things about her and how black personalities would be more successful if they were white. It's unattractive. It's making this victimhood mentality.
And she's been a magnet in a way that has benefited the league in ways that others have not, even though their efforts have been worthy and deserving of being as celebrated, if not even more celebrated. And it's a reminder that no matter how far we believe that we have advanced as a society, there's still such a long way to go. Because in the end,
look, this guy's embarrassing, bro.
You're bright, you're right, and as a result, the shine comes your way in the eyes of a lot of people.
Clark's been vocal about the need for better pay in the WNBA, and the numbers make her point crystal clear. Her rookie salary, a modest $76K. But her endorsement deals, those are worth millions. That's a huge gap, and it's sparking discussions about the true value of women's sports. Here's the twist. Clark's success isn't just highlighting the issue, it's also paving the way for change. With all the attention she's bringing, there's more pressure than ever to boost player salaries, and with increased fan interest, sponsorships, and TV deals, the WNBA might finally have the resources to make those changes a reality. Speaking of TV deals, let's dive into visibility. Last season, the Indiana Fever had only one nationally televised game. This season, they've got 36 out of 40 games on national broadcast. That's not just a small increase, it's a complete turnaround, and it's all due to the Caitlin Clark effect. But it's not just the Fever feeling the impact. Clark's popularity is boosting the entire league. With more eyes on the games, there's more ad revenue, more merchandise sales, and greater opportunities for growth. It's like her success is setting off a ripple effect that benefits everyone in the league. Now you might be wondering, this all sounds fantastic, but what about the tension we mentioned earlier? Well, here's where it gets even more intriguing. Sure, there's been some pushback, and some players do feel overshadowed, but all this drama, it's actually keeping the WNBA in the spotlight. And in the sports world, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
It's like enough with the racist BS. She's nasty. She knows how to ball. Everybody else is jealous. They're pissed off because she's getting this, like, it's ridiculous. And we're never going to advance as a species, and we're never, if he keeps having that type of attitude. It's ridiculous. It's like, what? Everything has to go back to race. Everything has to keep going back to race. She's really good.
The official announcement has not been made by USA Basketball. So it'd be premature for me to have any conversations about any player or anything.
USA Basketball head coach Cheryl Reeve just brushed off questions about Caitlin Clark after Clark led the Indiana Fever to a big win over Reeve's Minnesota Lynx. Fans and analysts are all talking, trying to figure out why Reeve avoided the topic of one of the league's hottest rising stars. Clark's been turning heads all season, and this game was just another example of her impact. From the get-go, it was clear Clark was on a mission. Every time she got her hands on the ball, the crowd's excitement went through the roof. By the fourth quarter, it felt like Clark had chugged an espresso and was back in full force. She nailed clutch shots, made clever passes, and showcased everything you'd expect from a top-tier player. Her stats were off the charts, with impressive points, assists, and rebounds, reinforcing why she's one of the hottest talents in the WNBA right now, and it definitely sent a message to Reeve. Clark was probably thinking, you passed me up for Team USA, watch what I can do. UNBA politics can get pretty juicy. On the flip side, the Minnesota Lynx had a tough night. Their defense, usually their strong suit, was all over the place. They couldn't keep up with Clark, and their offense wasn't much better. The Lynx struggled to find their groove, and their shooting percentage took a dive. Frustration was clear, especially as the game slipped away in the fourth quarter. They were up by 7 heading into the final period, but a couple of quick threes from the Indiana Fever shifted the momentum. The Lynx's failure to respond effectively on offense only added to their problems. It was one of those games where nothing seemed to go right. They looked almost like they were running on empty.
I think it's more of, the official announcement has not been made by USA Basketball.
The fan reaction was another cool part of the game. Even though Caitlin Clark was the away player, she had a ton of support in the crowd. Every time she made a play, the cheers got louder, making it almost feel like a home game for her. That kind of support can seriously lift a player's game, and it looked like it did just that for Clark. The arena was buzzing with energy, and fans were on the edge of their seats, especially during those nail-biting moments. At first, the home crowd was all about supporting the Lynx, but they couldn't help but appreciate Clark's talent. By the end of the game, it felt like she'd won over even the most loyal Minnesota fans. When Reeve finally spoke to the media, her tone was noticeably flat, a big shift from the confident remarks she made before the game. It was clear the loss hit her hard, and she struggled to find the right words. You know how sometimes you can just tell someone is really struggling to hide their disappointment? That was Reeve after the final buzzer. When it came to dealing with the media, Reeve seemed almost hesitant to engage. Questions about Clark were met with brief, almost dodgy answers, like she was trying to downplay Clark's performance. Instead of giving credit where it was due, Reeve focused on her own team's issues. She talked about defensive lapses and offensive struggles, but steered clear of discussing Clark. It was almost as if mentioning Clark was a painful reminder of the loss.
I told him I thought defensively we played, again, mostly well enough to win. Our offense is putting so much pressure.
Emotionally, Reeves seemed on edge. It was clear that the loss affected her deeply, not just as a coach, but personally too. Talk about a blow to the ego. It's tough to talk a big game and then face the music when things don't go as planned. Her body language said it all. Slumped shoulders, a softer voice, and a hesitance that wasn't there before, like someone had just kicked her puppy. She seemed to be second-guessing some of her decisions, especially those pregame comments that might have fired Clark up even more. It's no secret that emotions run high in the heat of the moment, and for Reeve, this game was a perfect storm of frustration and disappointment. It kind of reminded me of how my mom looked at my 4th grade report card. As the head coach of Team USA, Reeves' words and actions carry a lot of weight. Her hesitation to give Caitlin Clark any credit raised questions about how she sees emerging talent. Team USA is all about having the best of the best, and part of Reeves' role is to spot and support top players, no matter any personal biases. This incident might spark a debate about whether Reeve can separate her role with the Lynx from her duties with the national team. For a coach at her level, it's crucial to recognize and support rising stars, even if they outshine her own team in a given game.
You know, when I met with Glenn to kind of talk about really from the 2019 off season to prepare for the 2019 season, from that point where we analyzed the coming drafts and we talked about free agency and what was our path, what was our best path and our best.
Let's be honest, many of us are wondering why Clark didn't make Team USA. Her performance, combined with Reeves' reaction, really highlights her rapidly growing influence in the WNBA. Clark has been on fire, and this game was just another win for her. Her knack for dominating on the court and drawing a crowd says a lot about her potential. The fact that Reeve had a hard time even mentioning her name shows just how much Clark is shaking things up. For a player so early in her career to make such a big impact is impressive. It's not just about the points she scores, it's about how she shifts the game and makes opponents adjust. That's the mark of a true superstar. Plus, she has the crowd eating out of her hand. In terms of league dynamics, players like Caitlin Clark are gold. They drive up attendance, boost viewership, and create a buzz that the league thrives on. Every time Clark hits the court, she's not just playing, she's putting on a show that fans love. This game against the Lynx was a perfect example. The energy in the arena and the cheers every time she got the ball really highlighted her rising popularity. The WNBA has been trying to boost its profile, and stars like Clark are a huge part of that plan. Her performances are attracting new fans, some of whom might be tuning into the WNBA for the first time just because they've heard about her. A lot of players have stepped up to praise Clark for her amazing play. Her teammates from the Indiana Fever have been vocal about how inspiring it is to play alongside someone with her talent and drive. Even players from other teams have recognized that Clark is a real game changer and that facing her on the court is always a tough challenge. Coaches have also weighed in, suggesting that Reeves' hesitation to talk about Clark might come from a mix of frustration and competitive spirit. It's a reminder that in the heat of competition, emotions can run high and sometimes cloud judgment. Fans, as you'd expect, have been all over this on social media. The buzz around Clark's performance has been electric. X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram are packed with clips of her standout plays, and fans aren't shy about showering her with praise. Many are calling out Reeve for not giving Clark the credit she's earned, with some even suggesting that Reeve's comments come off as unsportsmanlike. It's clear that Clark has built a massive following, and her fans are quick to defend and celebrate her achievements. The broader sports community has also taken note, with many commentators pointing out that the fan enthusiasm highlights Clark's rising influence in the league. Sports analysts are diving into what this incident means for the WNBA and women's basketball as a whole, exploring the broader implications for the sport. Some experts agree that Reeves' comments, or the lack of them, highlight a potential issue with how emerging talent is recognized and nurtured in the league. There's a feeling that the WNBA needs to fully embrace its rising stars to expand its audience and boost visibility. Analysts also note that Clark's ability to spark such passionate reactions from both fans and critics shows her marketability and potential to be a key player in the league's future. They view this as a crucial moment for the WNBA, one that could influence how the league promotes players and connects with fans. With a chance to attract a new generation of fans, it makes sense for the league to seize this opportunity. Did you catch the news about Caitlin Clark, the WNBA rookie who's been shattering records and drawing huge crowds? She's been dealing with some intense bullying from others in the league. Even LeBron James and Stephen Curry have jumped in to back her up, pointing out the jealousy and unfair treatment she's facing. What does it say about women's basketball when one of its top stars is getting such rough treatment from her own teammates?
Yes, and you have other players who are going to knock down shots from the three-point line. And now you can't collapse quite as much, right?
On the court, Caitlin's been hit with some seriously unsportsmanlike behavior. In her debut WNBA game, she faced some rough physical play, including a controversial foul from Dejonae Carrington of the Connecticut Sun. It wasn't just a hard hit. It seemed like Carrington was trying to mock Caitlin. This kind of hostility goes beyond just tough competition. It feels personal. Off the court, things have been even worse. For example, Carrington took to social media to slam Caitlin, saying she picked the wrong league if she thought she could just shut up and dribble. This kind of public shaming is pretty brutal, especially for a rookie trying to get her start in the league. The criticism keeps piling up. Caitlin's also been facing negativity from WNBA legends and current players. Hall of Famer Cheryl Swoops questioned the validity of Caitlin's college scoring records, suggesting she had an unfair advantage. Not only is this claim inaccurate, Caitlin set those records over the standard 4 years, but it also undermines her hard-earned achievements. Then there's Breanna Stewart, who brushed off Caitlin's accomplishments by saying her legacy won't be complete without a championship title. That's a tough blow, especially coming from people who should be role models and mentors. It makes you wonder why some of these women in the WNBA are being so harsh. We often get called out for being rude and insensitive, but you don't see this kind of behavior in the NBA. These players really need to step up their game. So why all this backlash? It mostly comes down to plain old jealousy. Caitlin's rapid rise and massive popularity have made some of the long-timers in the league envious, especially those who haven't gotten the same spotlight. She's also drawing huge viewership and revenue, which should be a win for everyone, but instead it's sparked resentment. Some players feel like they're being overshadowed and think Caitlin's success somehow takes away from their own accomplishments because they're not the main stars. It gets even more complicated with the issue of perceived privilege. Caitlin's been accused of getting a boost from white privilege and what some call pretty privilege. The argument is that her marketability is partly due to her being white and conventionally attractive, making her more relatable to a wider audience. TV hosts like Sunny Hostin and Jemele Hill have echoed these views, suggesting that Caitlin's race and looks are a big factor in her fame. It's a tricky and sensitive topic, but it definitely adds another layer to the hostility this young rookie is dealing with. Another angle to consider is Caitlin's position as a heterosexual white athlete in a league that prides itself on diversity. The WNBA has been a strong advocate for inclusion, celebrating LGBTQ+ athletes and players of color. Caitlin, with her mainstream appeal, stands out in this context, and not always in a positive way. Some view her as a symbol of the traditional norms that the league is trying to move beyond. This resistance isn't so much about Caitlin as a person, but about what she represents to certain people within the community. As for this messed up behavior, I don't know about you, but last time I checked, being inclusive means actually being inclusive. It's clear that's not how some people in the WNBA are behaving right now. When it comes to backing Caitlin Clark, some of the biggest names in the NBA have really stepped up, showing just how much respect and admiration they have for her. Stars like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and other basketball legends have all thrown their support behind her, making it clear that they see Caitlin as the phenomenal player she is, no matter any perceived privilege. I mean, you could be the whitest person in the world and a straight 10, but if you can't play ball, no one's going to care about you on the court. Just saying.
Just had this kind of, like you said, you don't want to say hate, but just like animosity, like towards me and what I could provide. And I didn't even come in with that. I didn't come in.
LeBron James has been pretty vocal about how Caitlin Clark is being treated, comparing her situation to his own experiences. LeBron knows all about stepping into the pro sports world under a microscope. He's dealt with hostility from day one and has seen the same kind of mixed reactions with his son, Bronny, who's also making his way through a path filled with both admiration and criticism. LeBron didn't hold back when he tweeted, "If you don't rock with Caitlin Clark's game, you're just a flat-out hater. Stay far away from them, please." That's a strong statement showing his support for her talent and his frustration with the people who criticize her unfairly. LeBron's perspective comes from his own experience dealing with haters and understanding the pressures that come with being a young standout athlete. He gets what it's like to face criticism and scrutiny while trying to make a mark in the sports world.
I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine, and then her just confidence. You can't help but watch when she plays where she's shooting from.
Stephen Curry has also been a big supporter of Caitlin, praising her incredible skills and impact on the game. Known for his own exceptional shooting, Curry has often been compared to Caitlin for their long-range abilities. He's pointed out how Caitlin's knack for making jaw-dropping passes and scoring from tough spots is a lot like his own style of play. Curry's admiration for Caitlin goes beyond her technical skills. He really values how she's lifting the women's game and bringing major attention to the WNBA. He sees parallels between her journey and his own. Both are about proving the doubters wrong and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in basketball. Other NBA stars have joined in with their support. Shaquille O'Neal, for example, has tackled the professional jealousy Caitlyn is facing. He's pointed out that her presence is boosting the WNBA's profile, which benefits everyone, even if some players don't see it that way. Shaq's calling it like he sees it, professional jealousy. He's noted that when someone new gets a lot of attention, it's natural for others to feel envious, but it's crucial to recognize and respect the talent. And just to clarify, he's talking about Caitlin Clark, not Shaq Fu.
You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls.
Charles Barkley didn't hold back either. He called out the pettiness of some WNBA players, saying, "Y'all petty girls. I expect men to be petty. We're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for bringing in private charters, all the money, and the visibility she's adding to the WNBA. You know what I'm saying?" Barkley's blunt remarks really highlight the irony here. Caitlyn is significantly boosting the league's visibility and revenue, yet she's still dealing with hostility. Seriously, ladies, she's helping you get paid more. Time to stop the hating. Even Jeff Teague has chimed in, criticizing how Caitlyn's rise has been handled. On his podcast, he expressed disappointment in how the WNBA players have treated Caitlyn, saying they've played it all wrong. Instead of embracing her and using the added attention to benefit the league, some have chosen to undermine her achievements. His perspective adds to the growing chorus of voices calling for a change in how Caitlyn is received by her peers. Look, life's like a story, and in our own personal books, we're all the main characters wanting the spotlight on us. But jealousy is a big factor here. Caitlyn's rise to fame has been so fast, and with that fame comes bigger earnings and a ton of attention. Her record-breaking viewership and revenue are impressive, but they can also stir up resentment. Some players might feel like they're being overshadowed and think their own contributions are getting lost in the buzz around Caitlyn. If this were a retail job and a new talented worker came in and started raking in the profits for the company, nobody would be mad at them for having natural skill and helping everyone succeed. But when it's a woman in the WNBA, things get ugly. Think about that for a second.